Guru Rup Guru Pyare Sadh Sangat Ji, Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Last topic we talked about how all of us came about from Sach, our mool, our root. Sach means the truth. Mool is our root, our origin. Maharaj says in Gurbani, Mool Sat Sat Utpat, that our root is Sach, and all Utpati, creation, came from Sach, the truth. Then in Karmakhand, last time we talked about how the formation of the earth happened once the subtle and the physical were connected. This earth in Gurbani is known as a Dharmsala. Dharmsala is a place where dharm is practiced. What dharm is, we'll talk about in a moment. Dharmsala also refers to a place where a traveler would go, stay for a bit, and then continue on to his or her destination. Dharmsala. This earth is a Dharmsala for us because we are all travelers as well. We come into our physical forms, but we do not stay permanently. What happens with us is that we leave the body and we continue forth. If we absorb our mind into Nam, we reach our mool, Sach. If not, then we continue to travel about within the 8.4 million species, the 84 lakh juns that Vaheguru has created, which are all different bodies that the mind comes into play. Maharaj tells us, Rati Ruti Thitivar Pavan Pani Agni Patal. All the months, the seasons, time periods, they happened because of the creation of air, water, and fire. Those seasons and months came into play because this earth was created. When there was nothing created yet, there was no time. There was no seasons. There was no months. Maharaj tells us, Rati Ruti Thitivar Pavan Pani Agni Patal, that with Pavan, Pani and Agan, which is air, water and fire, and Patal. Patal means the inner portion of the earth, below the surface. Rati Ruti Thitivar Pavan Pani Agni Patal, this which Tarti Thap Rakhi Dharmsala. Within that area where there's air, water and fire, they called the lower portion Patal. The upper portion is known as Akash, which means sky. There, within these 2 points, the Akash and the Patal, they created this earth, the Dharmsala. This which ji jugd ke rang tinke naam anek anant. On this sphere, this earth, there's many different species that have been created, all which are different forms for our minds to play in, and they each have different names. Now, how did those forms come about? The same method that we talked about last time, Dharm Khand, Gyan Khand, Saram Khand, and Karma Khand, came into play. Those khands are the same process by which all our bodies are created within the mother's womb. However, there is one difference in that Maya took a look at all these elements, air, water, and fire, and from them, what qualities were produced, those were first observed. From air came the qualities of Rajogun. The Rajogun consists of qualities that have to do with sustenance, how to raise ourselves, how to go for our goals, our wants in life, and the constant drive to get more. Those all come into Rajogun. Water, from water came forth Satogun. Satogun consists of those qualities which are Daya, Nimrta, Shanshilta, Jat, Sat, Santokh. Those are positive qualities. Daya meaning mercifulness. Nimrta meaning humbleness. Daya, Nimrta, Shanshilta meaning patience. Jat meaning commitment. Sat meaning being truthful. And Santokh meaning being content. Those are positive qualities that came from the water. From fire came negative qualities known as Tamogun. Tamogun consists of Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, and Ahankar, lust, anger, greed, worldly attachment, and ego. Those all came from Tamogun. These three are known as the Triguna. Tra means three, guna means qualities. These are three main qualities that our mind is constantly encompassed in when we are in this lok, this world. Now, Maharaj tells us in Gurbani that Maya Mai Triguna Prasut Jamaya, that Maya gave birth to these Triguna. Taking these Triguna, they're put together and using the same process as we talked about last time through Dharma Khand, Gyan Khand, Sarm Khand and Karm Khand. And then from the earth using Mitti Tat, which is soil, using that element, three physical forms were created. As examples, Maharaj says, Ekamai Jugat Vyai, Tin Chille Parwan, Ek Sansari, Ek Pandari, Ek Lai Divan. That one was known as Sansari. Sansari is the name for Brahma. Ek Pandari. Pandar refers to Vishnu. Ek Lai Diban, which refers to Shiva. Ek Sansari, Ek Pandari, Ek Lai Diban. Jivtis Pava, Tive Chalava, Jo Hova Praman. These were three examples created by Maya and were presented in front of Sach, as these are the forms that the mind will come into to play. Sach approved these forms as the form that the mind will play in, and these three were always within the command of Sach. Whatever Sach wanted, these three did. But the surprising thing is that these three could not see Sach, but they were constantly within Sach's hukum, within Vaheguruji's hukum. Ekamai Jugat Vyai, Tin Chille Parwan, Ek Sansari, Ek Pandari, Ek Lai Divan. Jivtis Pava, Tive Chalava, Jiv Hova Furman. Vaheguruji took these three and used them to do whatever work they wanted within this world. Now, these three are also known as the qualities that are within us. Ninamara Kindeya, Kaya Andar, Brahma Visna Mahesa, Sab Opat Jit Sansara. That within this Kaya exist Brahma, Vishnu and Mahesh within our own bodies. This Rajogun is known as Brahma. Satogun is known as Vishnu. Tamogun is known as Mahesh or Shiv. These Triguna are known as Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, and they exist within all of our bodies, where the mind plays, and they're sukham, invisible. These invisible triguna is the area within which the mind is constantly encompassed in. These physical forms of Maya, there's actually two main ones that our mind plays in. One is of a man, one is of a woman. Maharaj says, Nari Purkha Sirjiya Bikha Maya Mo Pyaro. That Vaiguruji created man and woman. Nari Purkha Sirjiya Bikha Maya Mo Pyaro. But they've fallen in love with the poison in the world of Maya. This Rajagun, Tamgun, Satgun. Kaya e teri sab Maya. Maharaj says that Rajagun, Tamogun and Satogun are actually Maya. Maya has two forms. Jinu Maharaj kinde Rajagun, Tamgun, Satgun, Kaya e teri sab Maya, which is these Trigun. And another form of Maya is the physical form that we see. Jinu Maharaj kinde E sarir samul hai Maya, duje pae param pulaya. That this body is the root of Maya. This body is where Maya starts from. For instance, our mind comes into this body and gets separated from Sach. And when it gets separated from Sach, it falls into the Trigun, which is invisible Maya, but it all starts, that Maya, from when this mind is connected to this body. Now, these forms that have been created, they're all connected with the air. Maharaj says, Pavana khel kiya sab thai, kala khinch tahainda. That the entire play is created with that air. All these species have been connected to that air. Pavana khel kiya sab thai, kala khinch tahainda. When they pull that air with their art, with their kala, this body collapses. Now, Maharaj has told us that everything in this play comes about through that air. Now, within this body, in different areas in this body, there is an invisible family that exists. And each member has its own role. The player of the entire game is the mind. Also known as the man in Punjabi or Gurmukhi. Atma, which is a soul, the man, Atma, so the mind and soul, and then we have the Dharmarai, known as the righteous judge. Under the command of the Dharmarai, we have the Chitragupta, whose duty is to follow the mind and see where the mind is spending its commodity, which is very valuable, that's been given to the mind, which is our swas, our air that we breathe. And then we have the Jams, the messengers of death. They are known as Jams in Gurmukhi. Dharmarai, Chitragupta, and the messengers of death. Now, in addition to that, we have once again the Trigun that we mentioned, Rajagun, Tamagun, and Satgun, also known as Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. The three main qualities or groups of qualities, 3 modes. Trigun, which is Maya. And then we have another important player, which is known as Kal, also known as Shaitan, which actually means Satan. Now, these family members are an invisible family that actually exists within everyone. They each have different roles, but they're invisible. Now, before we continue forth, we have to think of one thing. Sach, the truth, is our mood, our origin. If we've been paying attention, we now know that air, water, fire all came from Sach. The earth, the Akash, the sky, Patal, these forms that have been created for our minds to play in, they all came from Sach, our mood. This invisible family, which exists within this body, all came from Sach, our mood. When we start to think about this deeply, we realize that within our body and this body itself, nothing is actually created by us. This is a process put together by Sach. And if nothing's actually created by us, this family has been installed within us, all by Sach themselves, then we realize that nothing actually belongs to us. And Maharaj in Gurbani says, Kabir, Mera mujhme kich nahi, jo kich hai so tera, tera tujhko saunpte kya lage mera. Bhakt Kabir ji says in Gurbani that within me there is nothing that is mine. Mera mujhme kich nahi. Whatever there is yours. Jo kich hai so tera. Tera tujhko saunpte kya lage mera. What's yours is given to you, Sach Paramatma Vaheguru. Then what's actually mine? And the answer is that there's nothing that's ours. If we take that another step further and think about how this family, which is invisible and exists inside us, and this body, this form, this earth, this universe, all created belongs to Sach, belongs to Vaheguru. When we think about that, we realize that in reality, this form, this family, is all a form that's been taken up by Sach Vaheguru. That Vaheguru has actually taken up all these forms. God has actually taken up all these forms that exist. There is only Sach. That's why Maharaj had said, the Sach. In the beginning there was only Sach. Juga the Sach. When time started there was only Sach. Happy Sach. At this present moment there's only Sach. Nanak husi pi Sach. Sri Guru Nanak Dev Ji says that going forth forever there's only going to be Sach. So, what is happening here? When we realize that there is only Sach truth that exists, that means that this form is actually a form of Vaheguru. In Gurbani, there's only 2 categories of forms mentioned that are exclusive to Vaheguru, that are the exclusive forms that exist only, which is Nirgun and Sargun. Sargun consists of everything we see physical, with all these qualities that have been created. And Nirgun, the one that has no physical attributes, no color, no shape, no race, and no form, the formless one. That's called nirgun. ਜਿਹਨੂੰ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਸਰਗੁਣ ਨਿਰਗੁਣ ਨਿਰੰਕਾਰ ਸੁਨ ਸਮਾਧੀ ਆਪ ਆਪਨ ਕੀਆ ਨਾਨਕਾ ਆਪੇ ਹੀ ਫਿਰ ਜਾਪ. That sargun and nirgun are both the formless nirankar's forms, and the creator of all is Vaheguru. Sargun nirgun nirankar sun samadhi aap. They're hamesha always in sun samadhi. Apan kiya nanka ape hi fir jaap. They created everything, so they're also doing everything, and that means whoever's reciting their name is actually Waheguruji as well. What we see here is just a play. Now, if we realize that this is the Sarguna Swarup, the Sarguna form of Waheguruji, and Sach, Nirankar, is also known as Nirgun, the formless one, Maharaj tells us in Gurbani that if we see within ourselves our true form, all of us, this mind discovers itself, we realize that we are the form of Vaheguru. We are all the forms of God. Maharaj says in Gurbani, Nanak Gurmukh Aap Pashane Prabh Jaise Avanasi. The Gurmukh that recognizes themselves finds out that they are the form of Vaheguru. There's no difference between them. Now Maharaj has told us that Sarguna Swarup is known as a drop within the ocean. The ocean is Nirgun. Maharaj says, Sagar mein boond, boond mein sagar. That this drop exists within the ocean and the ocean exists within the drop. That means that Sach, Paramatma, Vaheguru, exists within us, within our form that we have the Sarguna Swarup of Vaheguru. And this Sarguna Swarup exists within Sach. The Sarguna Swarup is known as Tan. The Nirguna Swarup is known as Har. Maharaj says in Gurbani, Har mein tan hai, tan mein har hai, sarv nirantar soye. That Hari, Vaheguruji, exists within the Tan, the Sarguna Swarup, the form. And the form exists within Nirguna. The Sarguna Swarup is known as Jan. Vaheguruji, or the Nirguna Swarup, is known as Brahm. Maharaj says, Brahm mein Jan, Jan mein Par Brahm. Brahm, Par Brahm are both names given to Vaheguru, the formless one. And Maharaj says that the Jan, the one that's in form, exists within Brahm, and Brahm, Par Brahm, which is Vaheguru, exists within the Jan. Then Maharaj says that all of us, we are all actually within this play, the role that we're playing the role of devotees if we're within the hukam. The hukam we'll get to as well, what the hukam is. And we're all known as the spouses, the wives of Vaheguru. Vaheguru, God, Paramatma, Allah, Ram, is known as the true husband of all of us. Within ourselves, we have the Atma. And Vaheguruji is known as Paramatma, the supreme soul, and Atma is known as soul. So we are actually all soul brides of Waheguru. So Maharaj says, to explain that, Maharaj says, Purkh mein nar, nar mein purkha. That within the Purkh, Purkh meaning our husband, exists the nar, the istris, the spouses. We, the soul brides, exist within Paramatma, our husband. And our husband actually exists within us, within this Sargun Surup, within this form. Maharaj says, Purkha mein nar, nar mein purkha, bujo brahm gyani. Ton mein dhyan, dhyan mein janiya, gurmukh akath kahani. That Sargun exists within Nirgun and Nirgun exists within Sargun. That the true husband exists within the soul brides and the soul brides exist within the true husband. That's only figured out, and that riddle, because until we know what the answer is, this is a riddle. How is Purkh mein nar, nar mein purkha? Many Katha-vachiks, many saints have tried to solve that, but Maharaj says that only the Brahmgyani, those with the knowledge of Waheguru, the true saints, would be able to figure that out. Bujo Brahmgyani. But how's that done? Maharaj says, Ton mein dhyan, dhyan mein janiya, gurmukh akath kahani. That they figure this story, the story of Akath. Akath is Paramatma, but how we separated from Paramatma, Waheguru, and how we are to unite with Waheguru, our true husband again. That entire story is known as Akath Kahani. That's where a devotee figures out that this entire form is the Sarguna Sarup of Waheguru, and without Waheguru there is no one that exists. And the one formless form from where Waheguruji is sustaining us by giving us air is known as Nirgun. The Maharaj says that's all figured out by putting your dhyan, your concentration, your focus into the ton, the sound. Ton mein dhyan, dhyan mein janiya, gurmukh akath kahani. That the Gurmukhs figured out the story of Akath, the Akath Katha, the Akath Kahani, by putting their focus into the sound current and then going into the avastha, the stage of dhyan. Now, when we've figured out that this is the Sarguna Sarup of God, the Sarguna form of God, if we walk about and we don't have this knowledge, or we forget that this is actually the form of Waheguru, then a person that's a manamukh may go about and slander someone. But if you're slandering someone, who are you actually slandering? You're slandering a form of Waheguru. So that slander that you're doing, that nindya, that gossip, chugali, you're actually doing of Waheguru. That's why Maharaj says, Ninda pali kisai ki nahi, manmukh mugd karan, muh kale tin nindaka narke kor pavan. Maharaj says that slander of anyone at all is not good. If we slander anyone, we're actually slandering a form of Waheguru, a form of God. God doesn't like that. They blacken the face of the person that does such a crime and they throw them into the pits of hell. You know, Maharaj kehne muh kale tin nindaka narke kor pavan. If we have any prejudice towards anyone, hatred towards anyone, that prejudice, that hatred that we're expressing or we have within ourselves towards someone is actually then towards a form of Waheguruji. If that's the case, Maharaj says that that's known as dubda. The Maharaj says, Jis nar ki dubda na jaye, dharam raay tis des jaye. That the one that doesn't get rid of the dubda that they have, the hatred, the prejudice that they have, the righteous judge, the Dharmaraja, has been given a duty to punish such a being. Of course, this is all within this entire play that this happens, but people aren't aware of the consequences. But Maharaj tells us in Gurbani what the consequences of every action is. Now, Maharaj has told us that Sargun and Nirgun are the two main forms of Vaheguru. Forms, Nirgun is the formless form, and Sargun is the one that we actually see, the physical one. So Nirgun is the invisible one, and Sargun is the visible one. Now, within this play, each of these family members have their own duties. That we'll talk about next time. When we think about these forms that have been created, if we've enshrined this lesson within our hearts, that this is all the Sargun Swarupa Vaheguru, then we realize, one, that in the beginning there was only Vaheguru. When Vaheguruji decided, God decided to make this entire universe, they didn't go to anyone else to make out a plan. They didn't go to anyone else to borrow anything, because there was no one else created. That's why Maharaj says, Jado ape thaat kiya be karte, tado pushna sevak biya, tado kya ko leve, kya ko deve, ja avarna dujja kiya. They said that when Vaheguruji, God decided to make this play, this universe, when Vaheguruji decided to create the universe, they didn't ask any servant for anything. They didn't ask any servant to do anything. And there was no exchange of information or materials because there was no one else created. If we think about that deeply enough, we realize that these forms, every single thing we see and what we don't see, is actually Vaheguru, Sach. There is no one else, and there never was, and there never will be. If we realize that, our mind literally comes to a halt because we're suddenly connected with the truth, which is Sach, Paramatma, Vaheguru. That there is no one else. There is only Vaheguru. What we see, the way we see it, we're actually just viewing a dream. Within this dream, Vaheguruji has sent Satguru, Sahib Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji, Sri Guru Nanak Dev Ji came at different points, different bhagats. Devotees were sent into the world, different saints, different gurmukhs at times are sent into the world, just to wake everyone up from this dream. When we view the world while we're asleep, we're actually viewing a dream. When we're awake, we realize what's actually going on, and in reality, there is only Sach, Vaheguru. Our mind becomes enlightened. We step away from the Triguna. We get rid of that Kam, Krodh, Loma, Ahankar, lust, anger, greed, worldly attachment and ego, because those are of this Maya. We rise above Maya. All of a sudden we've risen above. Our mind has risen above the Triguna, the land of Maya. And our mind enters what's known as the fourth stage, which is above the three modes or the three qualities, the three groups of qualities you can say as well, Triguna, and enters the fourth stage, the fourth dimension, which is called Nirvana, which is called Begumpura Shed, the city with no sadness. It's called Sahaj. It's called the home of Waheguru. And it's also known as Sachkhand. That brings us to the fifth khand that we didn't talk about last time. The other four we talked about as phases of creation. And now we talk about Sachkhand. So, one, we were going to mention that the hukam. What is the hukam? How do we awaken ourselves? Maharaj says that a mind that's asleep, that's stuck in a dream, awakens with sound. Maharaj says, Tun upajai sabd jagaya. That when the tun, the sound, is heard, that sound of the shabd, the word, which is nam, which we talked about last time, that this mind awakens. This mind, when it connects to that nam, this mind is in hukam. Why? Because Maharaj has told us, Sat Sangat kaisi janiye jithe eko naam vakhaniye. Eko naam hukam hai. Nanak Satgur diya bujai jiyo. Maharaj says in Gurbani that shabd, that naam, is explained in Sat Sangat. Sat Sangat kaisi janiye jithe eko naam vakhaniye. What is Sat Sangat? Sat Sangat is the congregation of saints, the truthful ones, the ones connected to Sach. And whenever we're in a Sat Sangat, the Sangat of the holy, the Sangat of Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji, there always there'll be an explanation of Naam. Sat Sangat kaisi janiye jithe eko naam vakhaniye. And what is that naam? Eko naam hukam hai. Nanak Satgur diya bujai jiyo. That hukam is the naam. And that's the voice of God. That's the word that Waheguru Ji spoke, which is in our languages when this entire creation took place. That was the command. Hukam also means in English command. And that naam is the command. When we connect with that naam, our mind awakens from its dream. Now, if we realize and we enshrine these teachings of Guru Sahib in our hearts, then we realize that this is all Sargun and Nirgun. So, if we think about it deeply enough, this Sargun form, is this Sargun form Hindu? Is it Sikh? Is it Muslim? Is it Christian? No. This form is actually the Sargun form of God. The form that Waheguru Ji has taken up. Here our prejudices, our boundaries get shattered when we get the teachings of the truth. So what does dharma mean? Normally, everyone that translates dharma, they'll translate it as religion. But dharma is the path by which we are to meet Waheguru, to meet Sach. That path is the path that was followed by all the different devotees of Waheguru, regardless of, in worldly terms, whatever religion they came from. In reality, they had one religion. And that one religion, one dharma, is to practice Sach. Practice seeing, looking at, and always being with Sach Waheguru. practicing connecting with that naam. That's why Maharaj says, Dharam drido har naam tyavo. Simrat naam dridaya. That practice dharma. How? By putting your dhyan, your focus into naam. Simrat naam dridaya. And that practice of naam is called simran, meditation. That simran, Maharaj has told us, that dharma is the dharma of all who go on this path. Now, what path is that? Within the lok, the world that we exist in, there is the three qualities: Satogun, Rajogun, and Tamogun. Our mind is constantly within this sphere. Either we're at Rajogun, we're always worrying about raising ourselves, our family, Asha, Ablasha, Mansant, Trishna, all the goals and wants and what we have to in the world that we want to strive for. Or where we have humility, humbleness within us, all the good qualities, righteousness. Dharma, another word for dharma is righteousness. Righteousness is the path by which we practice these good qualities and enshrine them within us to escape this dragon. Then tamogun is the negative qualities of kam, krodh, lust, anger, greed, worldly attachment, and ego. This is where our mind is constantly caught in. When we look at the world, Maharaj has told us that dharma is practiced by practicing naam. Our minds, if we're practicing naam, we are all going on the path of love, also known as live. The path by which we connect to naam, or we start to exit this dragon. That's only done if we've enshrined those good qualities within us that we can actually escape this sphere. Because this path leads us out of the dragon. And the other path that our mind, if it takes the company of lust, anger, greed, and worldly attachment, is known as tat. Maharaj says, live tat doira hai hukmi kar kamai. That live and tat are both paths. Hukmi kar kamai, that we are to actually be in the world but always stay connected to Naam, the hukum, and then do karma, do any action within the world. We can only connect to Naam if we're actually traveling along that path of live. That path of live is known as the path of a saint, and it's known as the ladder of dharma. You know what कहते हैं, संत का मार्ग धर्म की पौड़ी कोवड़ भागी पाए. That the path of the saints is the ladder of dharma, and those with very good fortune are the ones that are able to travel it. Everyone else, they take the path of thought. They're constantly within the company of anger, greed, lust, worldly attachment, and ego. And those five are known as the sardars, the generals in this area. And they have put everyone's mind to sleep by creating thoughts. Now, we've talked in brief about what dharma is. So today, we've actually discussed what the two main forms of Vaheguruji is, which is Sargun and Nirgun, and we're about to get to Sachkhand. Now, just before we talk about Sachkhand, the Sargun and Nirgun forms of Vaheguru are the two only true forms of Vaheguru. Within the Sarguna form, because there's so many different forms, Maharaj kehinde hai ke khel khel akhel khelan ant ko phir ek. Vaheguru Ji is playing everywhere within all these different forms. When they decide to end this play, the one form that will exist is the Nirguna form, the Sach form, Vaheguru's true form, which is the formless one, the Nirguna Sarup, Nirankar. Many people think there's more than these two mentioned. The only two are Nirguna and Sarguna. Nirankar isn't a separate form of Vaheguru. Nirankar just means formless one. That's why Maharaj says Sarguna, Nirguna, Nirankar, Sun Samadhi Aap, that they're always in Sun Samadhi. Sarguna is the physical form. Nirguna is Nirankar's exclusive form, which is the form that's constantly ekaras, meaning the same way, doesn't change. Sarguna always changes. Within the Sarguna form, there's many different forms that have been taken up, but all those forms are known as Sarguna, and Nirankar is known as Nirguna, and those are the only two forms. That's why we were discussing earlier that Maharaj says, "Ye sarir sa mool hai maya." This physical, what we see, is also Maya. There's invisible Maya, which is a Triguna, and then there's a physical form of Maya, which is what we see, which is also the Sarguna Sarupa Vaheguru. But when we're asleep, it's all we see is Maya. We don't actually see that form as being Vaheguruji's form until our mind's awakened, or until we get this Sikhya, this teaching, and think about it and install it within our hearts. Nirankar is the formless one. The Akar means form, Nirankar means without form, and Nirguna means the one that doesn't possess these physical qualities, which is also Nirankar. So Nirguna and Nirankar are the same form. They're not different. Many people get mistaken about that. Now the thing is, we're going to talk about Sachkhand. Sachkhand is the only Khanda that we haven't talked about. Last time we talked about the other four. Sachkhand, Maharaj says, Sachkhand vasad Nirankar. The Nirankar, the formless one, exists within Sachkhand. Sachkhand vasad Nirankar, kar kar vekha nadar nihal. That they're doing everything and watching at the same time. Kar kar vekha nadar nihal. That with their drishti, with their sight, everything is nihal, meaning everything is in the realm of ecstasy. Kar kar vekha nadar nihal, tatha khand, mandal varpand, that all khandas, planets, and universes exist within Sachkhand. Tatha khand mandal varpand. That the khandas, once again, the planets and the universes exist within Sachkhand. That khand mandal varpand, je ko katha tantrant. And if someone tries to describe all those, like there's no end, there's no limit. Tatha lo lo akar. Lo lo means from smallest to biggest. From smallest to biggest forms all exist within Sachkhand. Tatha lo lo akar, jiv jiv hukum tivat vakar. And the way Vaheguruji gives them the hukum, they all do their different karmas, their actions within this world, as per Vaheguruji's command. Tatha lo lo akar, jiv jiv hukum tivat vakar, vekha vigsa kar vichar nanak kathana karadasar. And Vaheguruji watches this play, and they're in ananda, ecstasy, watching this play, always happy. Tatha lo lo akar jiv jiv hukum tivat vakar, vekha vigsa kar vichar. And we are to do the vichar, discussion of Vaheguruji and how they see us all. Nanak Kathana Karada Sar. But to describe this total creation is very difficult. So now if we think about it, Nirankar exists within Sachkhand. All planets, universes exist within Sachkhand. Smallest to biggest forms exist within Sachkhand. Where are all we? This earth is a khand, a planet. Our forms are one of the akars that have been created, one of the many. If we think about it very carefully, that means that we all actually exist within Sachkhand. And Maharaj tells us that's the reason why Vaheguru Ji is always watching us. That's why Guru Sahib says, "E jag sache ki hai kothadi, sache ka vich vas." That this entire planet is house of God, their mansion, and God, Sach, exists within it. Then Maharaj says, "Harmandar eho jagat hai, gurbin kor andar." That this world is the temple of God, but without the true Guru, without the Sikhya, the teachings of Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji, there's darkness everywhere. Agyanta is darkness. Having no knowledge of the truth is darkness. Now Maharaj tells us in Gurbani that Dui Kudrat Sajiye Kar Asana Ditho Chao, that Maharaj made the second one, meaning Maya, and they took asana, so they took a seat, and they're watching in Chao, in happiness, ecstasy, Anand. Now, we've discussed, according to Gurbani, Sachkhand is where we all exist. Because we are all within Sach, and Sach, Nirgun, Nirankar, sustains all of us with the air. When Vaheguru Ji pulls the air away, the form that they've created collapses. And this air is given to us from here, Nirgun, Jinumara Kindaya, ke Pavana Khel Kiya Sab Thain Kala Khinch Tahainda. And then Maharaj says that Ape Karta Karkar Vekha Deda Sas Graha He. That Karta Purkh, Paramatma, the Creator, is watching everyone, and they're giving the morsel of swas into our mouths. Ape Karta Karkar Vekha Deda Sas Graha He. That they're giving the morsel of air into our mouths to sustain us, to keep us alive here. Now, they're doing it from very close up. They're not far away. So, Nirankar is the one creator, and they're giving all of us air to sustain us. And Nirankar, we all exist within, and Nirankar exists within all of us, and Nirankar is in Sachkhand. We all are on those planets that are also in Sachkhand. That means our forms are also in Sachkhand. That means Sachkhand is here. Now, we have a choice for ourselves. We go throughout life, we listen to different Kathavachiks, people called saints, and they tell us different things. Someone says Sachkhand is here, someone says Sachkhand is there. Some people tell others that Sachkhand has golden doors on it. Some people are saying Sachkhand is a place where Maharaj is, and Maharaj is doing Chaur. The Chaur that happens at the Gurdwara. Some people say Sachkhand is a place that you have to go to, you can only go at the end. But here in Gurbani, Maharaj is telling us Sachkhand is here. This is where we can actually think about what Maharaj tells us and compare it to what Kathavachaks tell us, or Pracharaks tell us that come. Everything a Pracharak says, we should try to see if it's in the Gurbani or not. Now, Maharaj has told us that we're all within Sachkhand. That takes our doubts away. Now we know where Sachkhand is. But how do we see Sachkhand and reveal that to ourselves? How do we see Sach and their place where they exist? That's only done by awakening our mind. So if I've made any mistake in speaking today, Akharwada ka topal chuk maaf karne. Waheguru ji ka khalsa, Waheguru ji ki fateh.